Hey, my name's Sarah Rose and today I'm going to be showing you how I make our traditional chocolate chip cookie recipe and non-vegan. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make our traditional non-vegan chocolate recipe. Hey there, my name's Sarah Rose and today I'm going to be showing you how I make our family favourite chocolate chip cookie recipe that's non-vegan and turn it into something that is vegan. Right, so this is the recipe we are dealing with. It's coming from this really old, well-loved, as you can see. We've had this since, I think probably even before I was born. And yeah, this is our main baking book that we've had our entire lives, and I've completely lost the recipe. Hello? Here we go. Two of the very best cookies. The peanut butter biscuits, which are just, oh my god. If you've never had peanut butter cookies, like, you are seriously missing out. The one we're going to be doing today is a chocolate chip cookie recipe. So, as you can see, the normal recipe calls for some butter. We're just going to be replacing that with some good old margarine. The other non-vegan thing would be the egg. So, and generally chocolate chips aren't, so I'm going to be using dark chocolate chips. And for the egg, I'm going to show you now, I'm going to make up a flax mix. So it'd be 1 tablespoon flaxseed and 3 tablespoons of water. You want to do this at the start so that it has time to marinate. I don't know what else you'd say, because when you put it in right now, it's quite watery, but give it time and it actually turns quite gel-like. Its texture, like an egg, it's kind of goopy and gloopy, and I think that's what holds it together quite a bit. So we're just going to leave that to the side and get started with the actual cookie making. And preheat your oven to 190 degrees centigrade if you're using a fan oven. Now, because this is really old, we generally take about 10 to 20 off, especially because it's a fan oven. Otherwise it tends to cook way too quickly and get too crispy and stuff, so you don't want it to burn while it's in there. And I'll leave a list of the ingredients just so it's easier to read and come back to in the description below. 115 of margarine, and you're better off getting margarine rather than the Flora buttery, which unfortunately the newer versions are gonna have buttermilk in it, but like plant-based butters that are really soft, they're probably going to ruin the mix, because you need something that's solid at a room temperature and even more solid when you stick it into the fridge, because it turns into a brick, like a really hard brick of butter if you stick it in the fridge, if that makes sense. Hello posture. With that, we're gonna mix in 50 grams of our caster sugar. I'm just using golden caster. You can use any type. It really doesn't matter too much if it's slightly over or under, because it generally doesn't change the outcome for the mixture. But I've been baking for years, since I was quite young, and I've had my mother at my side helping me as well from a young age, so I don't know, I'm kind of used to it, so I can kind of gauge, I guess you could say, when a mixture is good, or, you know. This is dark brown, I only have light brown, so 110 grams of that. It really doesn't matter too much if it's a bit different. Obviously, if you want a darker flavour in your cookie, absolutely go for the dark one. I just want chocolate chip. 125 is definitely too far over the 110 mark, so we're gonna put some less back. So with that, we're gonna use an electric mixer to kind of beat it together. Now, you can do this by hand. I'm actually just gonna do it by hand. Fuck it. Because otherwise I'm gonna have to like block out a lot of it, because it'd be really noisy anyway. So literally just squish it down, and then it kind of, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, just pull it across, and that kind of just beats the sugar into the butter. Plus you get to have a little arm workout too, so, although to be fair, I did just do arms earlier today. I did 2 separate arm workouts, so this maybe not be the best idea, but I'm full of bad ideas. Obviously, if you're not used to doing this kind of thing, you'd be better off going for an electric mixer, but if that's not an option where you are and in your household, if you can't afford that, or if you don't have it, then It's really not necessary. But yeah, you should have something that looks a bit like this. A delicious sugary buttery paste. Don't eat this. Or, well, I do sometimes, but maybe don't. After we do the butter and sugar, we need to mix in our egg mixture. Now, ideally, you would have done the flax mixture before, like a good while before starting making this, just to give it a lot of time to marinate, but sometimes I just throw it together, chuck it in, and it turns out pretty okay. Like, it's not detrimental, but it would definitely help if it wasn't so. It's actually, it's very runny, but like, it's not as runny as it was, but yeah. But yeah, you just want to mix that in with your butter and sugar mixture. Easy peasy. Right. Now that that's in there. Now, it does say to put vanilla in. I don't have any, and I generally just don't put it in. It's not imperative to the recipe. Like, you can completely live without it. It adds a bit of flavour and sweetness, but I personally like to put just a little bit of cinnamon in. I just think that brings out the flavour of the cookie a lot more. Right, so next in is our plain flour. I would absolutely recommend you do not do what I'm doing and just chuck it in. The recipe says sift in the flour, but I don't. I generally just don't. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. This is literally just me being a shit chef. I can make great stuff, but my technique is probably going to upset a lot of like professional chefs and pastry chefs out there, but we're looking for the end result. That's it. 170 grams of plain flour. Right? Yes. Right? Yes. Always double check. And try not to get too enthusiastic. Because now I have to go and fish some of this out. And make sure I don't get butter in with it, which I didn't, so it's fine. Right, so you don't mix that in yet. You want to put all your dry ingredients in, bar obviously your chocolate chips. I'm also going to cut up some of these marshmallows. These are vegan marshmallows that I got in Aldi. They were on sale like maybe a month or two ago, and we stocked up. We got maybe, in total, we ended up probably getting about 10 bags. And this is our second last one. We've got one more. We have a problem. I'm just gonna cut them up into, you know, chocolate chip size. You put in whatever you want. If you have like vegan white chocolate chips, put that in. You can put in cranberries, like cranberry and white chocolate chip I think would be absolutely delightful. Although I've never tried it before, but what's next? Bicarbonate of soda and salt. Right. So I found it, and I also got myself an apron because I should have had this on the entire time. I'm a really messy chef, so I end up like rubbing my hands on my clothes a lot, and I just get like cake mixture or like dinner, like any sort of food, whatever I'm making. Decent amount of it ends up on my clothes. Right, so one thing people get confused a lot about bread soda and baking powder, because in this it says bicarbonate of soda, right? So one thing you need to know about that is bread soda, bicarbonate of soda, and baking soda are all the same thing. They're just 3 different names. They are the same chemical compound. That confused me for I don't know how long. Baking powder is completely different. Those 3 things are the same thing. So it's a fun little tip, and it's really handy to know if you're into baking. Half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. Why are you wet? Yeah, put it in, you dumbass. I'm fucking contemplating things. Salt. We don't have an 1/8 measurement, so you can just do half of a 1/4 teaspoon. That'll do fine, but I literally just, now that's probably way more, but as long as you're not putting in half a teaspoon's worth or more, then you should be fine. Now this isn't in the recipe, but I really like my cinnamon, so that's going in. And that's everything. Well, that's all the dry ingredients, so we can get to mixing now. Shit, I'm getting that on my cardigan as well. Right, so we've mixed everything up into our little cookie dough mixture. I'm just doing this for science to make sure it tastes good, and it does. But yeah, go on and just chuck your chocolate chips in. I feel like, personally for me, 170 grams for this mixture is a bit overkill, but if that's your thing, then go for it. Absolutely. I think 100 grams was perfectly fine. I'm just gonna roughly mix this in just so I can get them coated. Alright, so obviously if you have mini marshmallows, you might not need to cut these up like I do, but I don't, so. Be careful with your appliances. I damn near almost cut through my finger. Right, so we are back. We've chopped all our marshmallows up. I'm just gonna give it a quick mix in, try and break them up a little bit because they like to stick together. I need to get myself like a proper camera and a tripod so I don't have stuff like that happening all the time. I'm sorry about the sound of the washing machine. I really hope it's not too loud. Freebie. Just lighting this shit as well. Right, so we have our tray. And we're just gonna line that with baking paper. Right, a little hack I like to do is just get a bit of water and just splash it on the tray, just so that there's a little surface for it to collect to. It just helps keep the paper in place. It'll be done in 1 minute, so get your tablespoon and get, I want to make balls roughly about that size. I don't know how to explain the size of this, but just, it doesn't really matter. Cookies are cookies. We can have giant ones and small ones. So you want to make sure they're evenly spaced out enough so that when they expand, they're not touching each other too much. My cookies are out on the tray. I'm about to put them into the oven and I'm going to leave them in for about 12 minutes at 170, yeah. If you want to follow the recipe's advice to a T, then absolutely do that. I've been doing this so long, I can kind of get a feeling on a lot of mixtures. I don't panic anymore when it comes to baking because I know like roughly when it'll be done and that's when I check it. So getting to that stage of baking skills took me many trial and errors, and mainly errors. It's really just all about practicing and having fun at the same time. Right, I'm just going to chuck them in with that. Oh no, there's not enough mixture left to make a whole cookie. Whatever shall I do? Whatever shall I do? Alright, so while that's in the oven, I'm just going to help myself to the scrapings that are left with the cookie dough. Actually, there probably would have been enough for a cookie, but... Right, so the alarm went off and I'm just about to take the cookies out of the oven, so I'm going to show you that now. I'll show you how you can tell whether they are done or not. So it's been about 11 or 12 minutes and these look like something I would be happy with taking out of the oven. You might think because these are actually quite floppy and squishy that they would not be done, and this is where a lot of people make a mistake when making biscuits and cookies. They are not meant to be a hard biscuit cookie texture when they come out of the oven. They're gonna be soft. So this is actually quite squishy, but because it's darkened to a point where it's slightly darker around the rims, as you can see, it's gotten to a nice kind of, you can barely feel the crispy texture. Now once it cools, it will turn into a hard cookie, and this is what we're looking for. We're not looking for it to be hard when it comes out. If it gets to that, it's overdone. They're just going to be way too crunchy. Right, so I have got both cookie recipes, or cookie trays, out of the oven now. I've got this one here, and then one over on the top of the oven. To make your life a hell of a lot easier when you're taking these and putting them onto the cooling rack is to just let them cool just a little bit, so they can get a bit harder. Don't try and put them onto the trays when they're directly out of the oven because they'll probably just fall apart. Get yourself like a little spatula, flipper, anything really that's flat that you can scoop them out like that and just throw them onto your tray to cool. Use a towel for that. Oh, these are a lot softer because I only just took these out. But the tray is really hot. Right, so now these are all out on their trays. Out of that mixture, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Got 13 cookies, but if you make the balls smaller, like, you'll definitely get a bit more. Right, so we're just going to wait until these cool down completely before you eat them. Oh, why am I touching them all? Right, so it is now the next day. Why is there a hair on my cup? Dogs. Get out. Fucking little, you can't even see it. There's a little dog hair in the bloody cup. Shh. Have to keep it down because my sister is currently in a class right now. So, but yeah, I didn't finish off really showing you the cookies last night because it was pretty late. The lighting was really bad. It really wouldn't have done them justice, and I needed to set up a little thing for my Instagram post for when this goes live. That's eyebrow gel. But yeah, I'm gonna show you them now. They turned out pretty well. I am delighted with them. One day I'll be able to have a phone with a tripod. But look, I just got my little fancy, oh, she's still quite warm, my little fancy pot of tea. And my plate of bickies. Damn. Alright, I'm gonna break one of these open. Probably this one. It's got, actually I'll go for this one. Because it's bigger and I want to eat it, so I've already had 2 today. But just, like, see that, like, bend and... I love the texture of this, like it's squishy and chewy and just exactly what I want in a biscuit. Like, chewy biscuits are definitely my favourite because I just really like the texture, but it's like softer on the inside, in the middle, and then it's slightly crunchy on the outside. Oh my god. You have to try these. Seriously though, look how well they turned out. You can see all the little marshmallows and chocolate chips. But honestly, you really have to try this recipe. Are we gonna say goodbye? I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm choking on cookie. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you try this recipe out. Let me know what you think of it or how it worked out for you. And if there's anything else you would like to see me veganize or see my vegan version of, then just let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.